There are about 6,400 children in out-of-home placements in New Jersey. A removed child at every age faces immediate significant emotional, social, and behavioral challenges. School-age children in out-of-home placements experience unique barriers in succeeding at school.
I was removed because DYFS felt that I was unsafe in my home environment. Going to school was like my break from all of the drama of really like what was happening in my family and court cases and DYFS and everything. I believe the only person that worked at the school that knew about my situation that I spoke to was my guidance counselor. And she was very supportive, and she always asked how I was doing, and she made it a point to make sure I was okay as I could be in that situation.
Placing a child in foster care is a trauma. I mean, I'm not saying it's not necessary in some instances, it is, but I think we need to recognize that removing a child from everything they know, even if some of it's not okay, is a trauma.
When you're removing a child from their family, whether you're able to maintain that educational stability or not, just the trauma of removing a child and placing them in an unrelated home is difficult. And so part of the work that we need to do for our kids is not only ensuring that they're stable with their education, but also addressing whatever that traumatic effect is emotionally for that child. If a child cannot maintain familiar connections with a community, with their school, with their friends in school, with their teachers in school, what happens is they end up feeling disconnected.
When a child is removed from home and loses day-to-day contact with their parent, with their family, with their siblings, oftentimes school can be the only source of stability that remains in a child's life.
I lived in about 5 placements while I was in high school. All of them were not in the town that I actually went to high school in. And then I believe my junior year, one of the vice principals figured out that I was not staying in district. And they began to do whatever needed to be done to try to push me into the district that I was supposed to be living in, which at the time was not the nicest neighborhood. So the school was definitely not a place that I was very excited to go to. But they passed a law right around that time, which allowed me to stay in school. It literally passed just in time for me to stay in school for my senior year.
In 2008, Fostering Connections was passed. This was the first law that really addressed at a national level the importance of addressing the educational well-being and outcomes of children in care. The main component of Fostering Connections and the main outcome of Fostering Connections has been school stability requirements.
Often left out of the conversation are children in medical, therapeutic, or group facilities, which are called congregate care. Under New Jersey law, this group is not provided the school stability protections as required by federal law.
So in New Jersey, our school stability number doesn't take into account children in the congregate care placements because those children are not covered by the state implementing law requiring school stability. It only covers children in resource placements.
It is unfortunate because many of the children and young people in congregate care are those children who are struggling the most emotionally and behaviorally. If there was the possibility of being able to maintain them in a school setting that might be an out-of-school, an out-of-district setting that already is familiar with that child and what their particular needs are, would be very important. Or their district may have them, right, in specialized settings, one-on-one, pullouts, that is working for that child. And so to have them be in a setting then where they have to be assessed by a whole new school district, or be educated, on grounds, which I don't think there are too many congregate care settings that do that anymore. But that's just a total disruption in education for that particular child.
For children in out-of-home placements, it's crucial that all involved people and systems effectively communicate and collaborate in order to successfully address the educational, including the social, emotional, and behavioral needs of the child.
I have been getting complaints from my daughter for several days that my daughter wasn't doing good in school. When my daughter went to DIFES, I thought that when she went to foster home, I thought they were going to evaluate her faster, which they didn't. She went to the psych evaluation, but it was, I guess, for the case, for the court. They didn't went to the second one. School decided not to keep in touch with me. Anything that happened, they would call the foster mom house. And I don't think it should be like that. I think they should inform you.
If the school is not clear around who they should be communicating with, then the resource parent may be hearing one thing, the parent may be hearing another thing, the caseworker may be hearing another thing. And if we are not hearing the same information and doing the same planning together on behalf of that child, then the child is not going to receive the supports and services that they need.
We really need to make sure that we focus on addressing all the issues of concern to make sure that once kids are in there, continuing to remain in their home schools, they're still continuing to do well.
While New Jersey has made great strides for improving stability in children in out-of-home care placements, there are still many issues to be addressed. In short, the Department of Children and Families, the Department of Education, parents, resource parents, the judiciary, and attorneys for parents and children share joint responsibility for the education of every child involved in the child welfare system, and must increase their efforts and focus on this issue in order to build upon the progress that has been made to date.
Parents should have the right to know, and they should have understanding. When the school have a kid that's on foster home, they should call the parents and ask why and have their opinion, not just the DIFES worker. When they go over there and explain to the teacher, this child is a foster mom, they should have a meeting. I think the school should have a meeting, the teacher and the principal with the parent, and if it's possible, ask why, because it stays confidential to them, so it's just going to be between the parent and the teacher and the principal.
I think the intersection between law and education is a really powerful one. The triple intersection between law, education, and child welfare is incredibly powerful and important. And unfortunately, it's an area where there is a lot of confusion and a lot of complexity. And we need more advocates in this area. We need more advocates who understand all three systems. We need advocates who understand the law, the child welfare systems, and the education systems, who can communicate between all three systems in order to come up with good results for the kids who are trapped within those three systems.